So I'm Jamie Wood, and I'm on my way back from Savannah, Georgia to Provo, Utah. It's a 33-hour trip. I'm on day 3, currently headed through Laramie, Wyoming. And I flew out to Savannah to pick up this van to start a business. So this is a Ford E350 shuttle van, and it has a, let me see if I can get it, has a DexaDash scanner bolted into the back of it. And I'm starting up a company that's going to provide mobile DexaDash scanning services. And so I've never started a business before. I've been interested in trying out this entrepreneurial thing for quite a while now, and it's finally happening. And so just wanted to kind of talk about the run up to it and what I'm hoping to get out of this experience, and yeah, how it's coming to be. So I'm mid-career. I'm like 10 years into my career. I have a master's in healthcare administration. I've got 4 kids, wife, mortgage, like pretty stable life. We make, great money. My wife works very, very part-time. She works 1 night a week. And when we got married and started a family, we were explicit with each other that what we both wanted was for her to be able to be home full-time and to raise the kids and use her influence in that way with raising our family. And we've been very blessed to be able to do that. And so my role in helping that come about, it's been stable employment, reliable employment, working towards promotions, and building that sense of security and stability for us as a family. And it's all worked out very well, and we're very fortunate and blessed to be in that kind of a situation. But as I've gone on in my professional career, it's interesting because I get to a point where every unit of like marginal effort, say, that I put into my job, the return from that effort like gets banked up and only gets paid out at the next promotion. There's no way for me to, like, on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis or a month-to-month basis to put in additional effort and see the return of that. And so I'm kind of at a point in my career where the promotions came fast, pretty early, in quick succession, and now I'm kind of like junior executive level, and the promotions are spacing out a little bit more, and it's sort of like, well, at a place where the amount of effort that I'm putting into my work is pretty stable, and choosing to put in more isn't going to net me any new benefit for who knows how long. And so that's sort of what has really kicked into high gear this desire to want to start a business and do something entrepreneurial, because the effort to return cycle, you get to experience that a little bit more quickly. And it's just an opportunity to try a challenge and test out kind of my own, everything I've learned throughout the course of my career and life, and put it to the test and see if I can do this. I think it's going to be a really fun and interesting learning experience to try to start and build and grow a business. And I just think there's going to be a lot to learn, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And so, I'm really grateful for a lot of I have several entrepreneurial friends back home in Utah, people that have done really well, worked on multiple businesses, sold businesses, started additional businesses, done things like that. And they've encouraged me to try to go for it and figure out what the right sort of first opportunity might be. And pretty consistent advice was to not do anything that's going to jeopardize the stability that you have, like with 4 children and all the stuff we've got going on. And it's not like you could just make a clean break and quit your job and jump into something. And my wife would absolutely 100% never go for that type of foray into being an entrepreneur. And so it was sort of an interesting constraint to work with then, to think, okay, what's something that I could do on a part-time basis that I wouldn't have to quit my day job, but would still provide the kind of learning and the type of experience that I'm seeking in figuring out what it takes to start and grow a business. So I've had so many ideas. They've all come and gone. Typically what I've done in the past is I'll, get 100 miles out in front of an idea and sit down on my computer by myself and do the pro forma and model everything out and be like, oh, this is going to crush. I love this idea. It sounds like so fun. And then once it's all fully baked, so to speak, go and drop it on Nicole's lap, my wife Nicole's lap. And then she's like, where is this coming from? And I didn't even know you were working on this or thinking about it. And here's reasons A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K about what the realities of this business are going to look like. Have you thought about that? And this is all too much too fast, and like, we're not doing this, which is totally reasonable, and very grateful for the reality check of those instances where that's happened. And so what I've done more recently is, with this one specifically and a few others that I've been assessing recently, is just getting her involved more early in the process and working with her to be on the same page to come up with what the sort of criteria might be that would make an opportunity realistic. And it's been a really wonderful experience to learn how we operate together in that specific context, kind of as business partners, so to speak. So she's been involved with a lot of the phone calls that I've been on. When I was talking to franchises about, a DEXA scanning franchise, she was involved in those phone calls, talking about financing, and just she's been really helpful. She sees risks in a different way than I do. She sees the sort of more concrete realities of the day-to-day of what it would take to operate the business in a different way than I do, and it's just been great to work together. And so really pleased that we've gotten to this point where we're actually going to get to try to start something together. It's very, very cool. And so, okay, so this specifically, what is the business, why do it, and what am I hoping to get out of it, okay? So the idea for a mobile DEXA scanning company initially came from a couple different places. One, I read the book Outlive by Peter Attia. It's about longevity and really early preventative measures to stave off diabetes, heart disease, cancer, dementia, kind of those four big disease states that get most of us later in life. And the first idea from that was to take all of the different diagnostics that he puts his patients through, which include DEXA scans, there's some blood tests, and a few other different types of imaging studies that he recommends for all of his patients. And okay, well, how could you bundle those up in a certain way as some sort of big preventative diagnostic bundle, and could you contract it or price it in a certain way, and could you deliver that suite of services as a bundle? So that's kind of where the initial idea came from. And then I watched the Netflix documentary, You Are What You Eat, which follows the Stanford experiment where they take identical twins and give one of them a healthy omnivore diet and the other one a vegan diet, and then they compare them against a bunch of metrics. And in that movie, they used a franchise called DexaFit that uses this technology, and it was really instrumental in helping them understand some key metrics, including their visceral fat, which is a leading indicator for diabetes, all those disease states I mentioned, and their body composition, so their muscle mass, lean mass versus their body fat percentage. And that was, some of the indicators they used to try to quantify the changes in diet. So that got me thinking, as someone whose metabolism has changed really significantly in my mid-30s. I went and got my own DEXA scan at, I guess what's now a competitor, a local competitor named Dexa Body. They're a national chain, but they operate, they have a location in Murray. And I went and got a scan there. It was $75, in and out. The scan took less than 10 minutes, was super easy. And it was really eye-opening for me personally. So I learned, my numbers that I got out of it were, I'm 167 pounds, and I was 28% body fat, which is an unhealthy level of body fat. It's too much. And so I started doing the math and thinking, okay, if I wanted to get down to 160 pounds, which was kind of a target weight that I thought about for a while, if I wanted to get down to 160 pounds, okay, that's losing 7 pounds. But if I wanted to get down to 160 pounds at, say, 20% body fat, which is like a more athletic body composition, well, I'd actually have to gain like 8 pounds of muscle as I'm losing 7 pounds of total body weight, right? I'd have to recompose my body in terms of the relationship between fat and muscle in a really significant way. And so it just sort of like blew my mind a little bit about just what it was going to take based on where my baseline was to get my body in a much more healthy position. And so that's enabled me, to really, I have to think about what sort of the lifestyle changes that I need to make and need to be willing to make in order to get there. So from there, I started looking into, okay, how could I, do something with this technology? Simply, I found out they're not that expensive. The scanners are not that expensive. Depending on the state regulations, you don't have to be like a certified radiology tech. It's so low emissions, radiation emission, that it's kind of easy for someone to do. And so I looked into franchising through DexaFit, and I really liked their model, and the finances seemed really strong with that. But it's a little bit more commitment than I was willing to make. You have to get into a lease for office space, for example, which is a big commitment. It's a lot of overhead, fixed costs. The franchise fees were not cheap. And so it was just kind of too much of an investment. So, I had friends that challenged me, like, how could you do this in a really cheap, kind of bootstrapping way? And so I thought, well, maybe you could, throw it in a van or do it mobily, so you're not tied down to one spot. You could go to gyms, go to med spas, go to estheticians' offices, go to, large employers, in the area, and offer it for them as an employee health benefit. But without having the overhead of office space, could you be more flexible in that way? And just looking around on the internet, I found a couple of places that had things like this, but it wasn't a model that was really like at scale or out there. And I found this guy in Georgia, in Savannah, Georgia, who owned this thing called the Body Bus. So that's what this is currently branded as, is the Body Bus. And I figured I would just call him up and ask him about the business, just to further assess the opportunity. And I figured I'm far enough away in Utah, he won't think I'm like trying to compete with him, and maybe he would just mentor me loosely about, okay, what are the things you need to think about in this line of business. And when I reached out to him, his name is Jamie Kane, super nice, wonderful gentleman, and found out from him that his main business is he actually owns a set of gyms called Empire Gym, and he just started a meal kit, food prep delivery type business. And so his main focus is sort of elsewhere, and he had this unit as an amenity for his gym members. And so in talking to him more about it, he expressed that he was interested in selling it. So we negotiated around price and talked to Nicole about the opportunity and talked through the realities of it. We decided that it was a good investment and to try and go for it. And so, so now I'm driving the Body Bus back home. I'm going to rebrand it. Right now I've settled on calling the business DexaDash, kind of like DoorDash, but the idea of it being an efficient, easy, mobile, fun experience to learn more about your body. So let's talk into, as I'm trying to, one reason why I want to make these videos is to talk myself and anybody who's interested through, like, what's it like to start a business in your mid-30s on a part-time basis, and what are the things you learn along the way? Because one of the things I'm most excited about is the learning. And so the first thing I had to learn is, okay, now I got to finance this thing. Where's the money going to come from? Well, we didn't want to sink, I didn't want to pull into my 401k. I didn't want to pull into any of our savings. We've got 2 condos. I didn't want to pull any equity out of the condos. I didn't want to pull any equity out of my home. And so I had to think about, okay, well, how am I going to get the money? I didn't really want to go to friends and family. I just didn't want things to be complicated. Again, low risk. I just didn't want to go that route. So what I was able to figure out is through a local credit union, I was able to get an auto loan for $30,000, 7.9% interest, 84-month term, which is kind of a long term for a loan. But the monthly payment on that is $505 a month. And so I thought that was a real desirable position to get into, because for cash flow reasons ongoing, the $500 a month hurdle is not huge in terms of what I'm going to be able to charge for the scans. I only need to do, it's $75 a scan. That's like 8 scans a month to cover that payment. So not a huge hurdle. Would allow me flexibility to decide what to do with additional cash, assuming that it's there, to either invest in advertising or partnerships, or to hire somebody to, if I could get to that point, or pay off the loan more quickly. I just like that flexibility. So that's why we extended the term and got it through an auto loan. The other $20,000, so it's $50,000 for the van, the website, the scanner, everything. The other $20,000 came from cash that we had saved up. And so in terms of the risk and initial investment that I'm in for this business is $30,000 auto loan and $20,000 cash. So I feel pretty good about not taking a huge risk. I mean, let's say this all just crashes and burns and doesn't do well at all. Well, I'd be able to hopefully liquidate everything, sell the van, sell the scanner, sell the assets of the business that I purchased, hopefully recoup that initial cost. But even if not, I mean, I'm only, my own personal exposure is only $20,000. So at its worst, you liquidate, pay off the loan, and I'm out 20 grand. Bummer, but it's not like I blew my entire life savings on starting a business. So so that was kind of the first lesson, and we'll see how it turns out. But thinking about financing, thinking about cash flow, thinking about all of that and starting a business, check. Got to experience that, which is really cool. There's going to be a lot to learn that I'm really excited about: how to market, how to price, how to form partnerships. Some of the operational rigor around how to set a schedule and set up the systems. Learn a lot about the customer experience, branding. Just there's so much to learn, and I'm really excited to dig in and figure all that out for myself. On the financial side, the learning is really the primary reason why I wanted to get into starting a business like this, is to learn. But on the financial side, I think a great definition of success for this stage of it isn't like, can you build this huge fleet of cars that goes nationwide and makes DexaDash like the name in mobile DEXA scanning technology like that. That's not the goal. The goal with this is, can I take this one asset? Can I build a little self-sustaining, mostly hands-off business that kicks out $50,000 in cash on an annual basis? Because if I can learn to do that, then you can set up these passive streams of income in maybe similar ways, maybe different ways, but really focus on building those kinds of things. And in the effort of doing that, you would hope that over time, if you can get good at building those things, one of them might hit in a much, much bigger way. So not pinning all my hopes and dreams on the mobile body composition analysis industry, although I really think there is some potential upside here, but it's to learn how to set up a passive income stream and then be able to replicate that in other ways into the future. And so, that's kind of where this is at and what the hope is, and it's super fun and I'm excited. And so, I think where it goes from here is I'd like to, when it gets quieter, make some more videos on roughly a quarterly basis. Think about it myself as like making quarterly projections, laying a quarterly plan, and then following up every quarter to see how performance compared to those projections and goals. And so, figuring out what's my set of indicators that I'm gonna measure and follow. How am I going to make plans on that? How am I going to be accountable to those plans? And start demonstrating the kind of like CEO type rigor for owning and operating a business in that sort of way. And articulating the return on investment for myself and then for anybody else who ends up seeing this stuff. So I'm excited. This is super fun. Hopefully the noise of the engine of the car is not detracting too much. 20 minutes is a long time. I'm absolutely certain that there are 0 people who will ever watch this movie or watch this video. It's just for me anyway. So, super fun. Bye.